Good morning, EMSers. Today's topic, today's theme for EMS week is supposed to be safety. And I wasn't really sure which way to go with that. We are doing a job right now in a kind of an unprecedented time. We've had many smaller pandemics, things like Zika and SARS and H1N1 and Ebola, and to go back far enough, even back to the when AIDS was and HIV was first discovered, we were really unsure how to handle that. So we've had smaller versions of what's going on, but nothing ever this large, and probably nothing that has changed our profession. Now, a lot of the things that you're having to do now, or we're having to do now, are things that we probably should have been doing all the way along. We should always have been wearing our gloves. We should always have been wearing a mask. We should probably have had safety glasses on every call just to protect our eyes. Now the gowns and some of the rest of it, maybe not, but there's a lot of the stuff that we should have been doing to be safe anyways. Now, with the pandemic, we are definitely thinking much more about infectious diseases, but don't forget we still have all the other hazards out there. So if you're never been in EMS or you're curious what we do, safety is one of the primary things that we have to worry about. And this could be everything from somebody acting violently on a scene to a dog that's on scene. I've had more than my fair share of near misses with dogs. I know a few of my colleagues have been nipped a time or two by dog. To just all sorts of other potential hazards. Working on roads at car accidents is one of our biggest ones also. People watching the wreck and not watching the people working around the wreck, and I'm sure many of my law enforcement officer friends will also testify that that's one of their greatest concerns, is getting hit by a moving vehicle. So there's lots of things that are hazardous about this job, but we've devised a lot of different ways to do this job safely if we follow our personal protective equipment. I do remember running a call back when H1N1 was a big deal, and we got a call for a woman who was feeling sick and running a fever. So in my mind, we felt that was a possible flu situation. And dispatch had screened the call, had asked certain questions to see if this was a possibility, and had warned us. So we got out of the ambulance and we had our gloves and our face mask and goggles on, or glasses on, to protect us from H1N1. And I'm walking up to the house and the fire department was there, and they're all standing in the door and in the living room. I'm about to be attacked by a bird. There they go. Speaking of safety, I just got photobombed by a bird, I think, or attacked by a bird, I'm not sure which. Anyways, we were walking up to this house and we were suited up with our masks and our glasses and our gloves, and the fire department, one was standing in the door and the rest were in the living room. And he said, yeah, the woman says she's sick and she wants her kids to also go in because she thinks they're sick. And I'm looking at him because he has no personal protective equipment on at all. And he's looking at me like, why are you, and he points at me and says, so what's up with the mask? And I said, well, why are you not wearing one? And he said, well, why would I? I'm like, because they have the flu? And, we weren't really sure what was going to happen with H1N1 at the time. And it turned out to not be as bad as we had worried that it would be, which was good. But after he realized that they had all just been exposed to the flu, that particular fire engine, every call we ran with them after that, they were, I think, suited up in their hazmat suits. But it's a little late after the exposure to go ahead and put the equipment on. So we've changed some of the ways we do things because of this pandemic. Right now, dispatchers are asking questions. So if you call 911 and tell them you need an ambulance, they're going to ask you a few other questions just as a bit of a screening to see if there's a risk for you having coronavirus. Now, we know that for up to 2 weeks before you really get sick, you may have it and you may be spreading it and you may not have any symptoms. So it's not perfect, but it's a start. If we suspect that you have it, we're going to limit the number of people that respond. So it might just be the ambulance instead of the ambulance and the fire department responding. When we arrive on the scene, one of us may come to the door instead of both of us, and the other one will kind of hang back. And don't be surprised if you see us with glasses on and a face mask and gloves and a full gown. We're trying to protect ourselves. And remember, we have to then, after we take care of you, clean up the ambulance and start to take care of another person, another person, another person. So we may look a little different, and we may start interviewing you and asking you questions from your door versus immediately going in. And if possible, we may even have you walk outside to us and get on the stretcher there versus having us go into your house where there's a higher viral load. So don't be surprised if we're all suited up. And I know that's kind of scary looking for some people, and it's not a very personal thing. You've probably recognized that with masks already. Now I'm paranoid about birds. But you might be worried about masks, or not worried about masks, but you may have realized that with masks, it's not quite as personal. You just can't smile at people with a mask on. That doesn't come through. You see that when you're out in the stores. So things are just going to look a little different. We are still cleaning our ambulances more so now than we used to, although we really should have been doing it probably at this level after every call, every time. But we are definitely scrubbing down the inside of those ambulances. We're taking care of ourselves. It's different for us even coming home from work. A lot of our EMTs and paramedics who probably should have been doing this all along are now changing at the office and throwing all their uniform stuff into a bag and taking it home, and it immediately goes into the washing machine, or they're washing it at the station if they had that capability. Or if not, then as soon as they get home, they are stripping things off on their front porch or back porch and going in then. I know there are some hotels, I think Hilton, that is actually providing free rooms for emergency responders and first responders and hospital staff that are dealing with COVID, so they don't have to go home to their families and risk bringing it home. I even have a friend that has rented a car, and that is their work car. So they use that car and that car only to go to and from work, so nobody has to ride in the car that they rode in and possibly exposing their family to COVID. So we're seeing some things that are changing about how we do our job, and all this is to be safe. Now, as this pandemic ends and winds down and eventually disappears, and it will eventually, think about the way that we've done this, and this is stuff, some of this stuff are things that we need to continue to do to be safe. We do one of the most dangerous jobs out there. We're constantly rated as one of the most dangerous jobs, but we're also one of the most satisfying jobs. It's quite an honor and a little humbling to know that when somebody's having an emergency, we are the ones they call to help. And to know that even in this pandemic, this time of crisis, unprecedented times, whatever you want to call it, we're still there to help. We are still responding. We are still taking care of you. We're doing everything we can to be as safe as we can. But we were there, and we will rise to the challenge of this, and we will come take care of you in your emergency. So that's an amazing thing that we do. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I hope this was a little insightful on some of the ways we have changed things, or the way that we do things to make it a little bit safer for us. Some of these things I know will stay around probably forever, and that's good. But some things will return back to normal as all this passes. So I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Stay EMS strong and stay safe.